Master of None, Season 2.
Aziz Ansari, Alan Yang, Emmy Award winners last year for outstanding writing in a comedy series for the excellent episode Parents.
Yeah, and I can't remember. Did we talk about it? I think it came out in 2015.
We were not a podcast then.
So, yeah,
it was a few months before we started.
It's crazy how long ago that was.
Yeah.
And it's been 18 months.
They had 3 other Emmy nominations too.
It's nuts.
Critical acclaim for season 1.
It was very good. What did you think about? I know that you watched this first season, but what did you think about like the time off? Like, because usually with
that
shows,
18 months.
Yeah, about 18 months. Like with a show like this, especially with a upstart like brand like Netflix, you would think they would want to be like, hey, you want an Emmy? Let's get this out. Let's get this out here pretty quickly.
Well, actually, I don't think Netflix really cares about that. You know, they their whole content strategy involves getting tons of talent and just giving them the freedom via the money to, hey, you make what you want, and we're not going to make you adjust to our release schedule. We'll just accommodate you. Because they already have their juggernauts that are more scheduled, like House of Cards, like Orange is the New Black. So, like, a Master of None, where it's 2 auteur-driven guys, like Yang and Aziz Ansari, they don't want... Netflix doesn't want to pressure them to crank it out, because those guys just won't do another season if they don't want to.
That's
so
true. They do want...
It's a great relationship,
They do want the awards, though.
Yeah.
Like, very badly, because like the push they're making for these high-profile movies are pretty ridiculous.
Well, exactly. They want the Oscars because they've been striking out on those. They've been doing better in the Emmys.
Well, this season, I mean, at the end of last season, they showed Dev on a plane. You're not sure if he's going to Japan to follow his girlfriend or Italy for the adventure that he always wanted. Ends up he's going to Italy.
That pasta.
Yeah, he's trying to eat, man. And that's like an essential part of the season is his trip, and just kind of like food is like a big part of this. Which, if you know anything about Aziz Ansari, it just makes sense because dude loves food.
He made the trip in real life. He did this very thing in the off time.
It's almost like he just wanted to go on this trip, and he's like, "Oh, let's write this into my show and give me an excuse to do this," which he obviously didn't need.
That's the cool thing about Aziz too, is because he's 34. One of the most successful stand-up comics. I mean, he sold out MSG multiple times.
Do you think he's a really good stand-up?
I like his stand-ups, and he's dominated his tours.
It's funny. I feel like I don't think his stand-ups are anything like in particular like special. Like, I don't think I would ever like search out an Aziz one, but he's always just kind of like, Aziz is cute. He's fun.
I think he has some of the best like millennial humor, like modern humor, just because he's one of the younger stand-up comedians talking about it.
Right.
In terms of guys with a high platform. So I like the way he handles that.
I think one of the things that turns me off about Aziz is he has some of the things he falls back on are him just like doing like screaming things like no and stuff like that, which it's funny, but like after when that becomes like a running gag, it's like all right, give me some more sustenance.
The one I always remember is he's talking about like ghosts now, and it's like if you get haunted, it's like, boo, what's the Wi-Fi?
It was actually reminiscent of a joke he does on this season, but this is gonna be spoiler free. You don't need to fast forward at all or turn this off. I binged the whole show already.
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
It came out Friday.
I know.
When did you finish it?
I had a lot of time on Friday night.
10 hours?
No. So
that's what you were doing Friday night.
I didn't watch it all in one sitting.
Right.
I watched it about like half and half. And to be honest, I just really kind of got into it and couldn't stop.
Well, that's good, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
I purposely slowed myself down for season 1 because I was liking it so much that I wanted to spread it around.
Yeah, and I've already told myself I'm going to go back and watch it again because I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff I missed. The thing that stands out to me about this season is that it kind of does something Atlanta does, where it gives like a basic overall like theme to like pull the storyline along throughout the season. But basically, then they're like, okay, well, we're gonna stop here, and then we're gonna go in this direction.
We can we'll pick up some plot, put it down here, focus on these people.
Yeah, and it actually has like a very like Louis like mixed with Atlanta type feel, where it can go off in those different directions, have these crazy stories, but then it also like kind of zeroes in on like human like problems and like what's going on, which I really think makes the show very unique and fresh in that way. Yeah,
well, it's cool because like the vibe of Master of None can change from romantic to comedy to indie film, some combination of the three.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it depends episode to episode. There's a piece on The Ringer about how Master of None kind of preserves the idea of the episode in a world where Game of Thrones and Fargo and stuff. It's just
Right.
a 10-hour movie,
Right.
Shit. And no, Master of None clearly in Atlanta as well.
Mm-hmm.
The identity of the episode and what you can do by, changing things 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And, to use the metaphor of cooking, they really did let them just cook. They're like, you make whatever you want, we'll serve it up. And they try so many different things in this season.
Aziz did some directing in the season, right?
And so did his tall friend there, his Eric Warenheim?
He's hilarious.
It's just funny seeing them together. And, like, the characters they play, I don't think they're necessarily, like fantastic acting, but I think they do a really good job for like not really having like formal training. Like Aziz has been in shows, but he always plays kind of the same character, just like a goofy dude. And he does a really pretty good job of like getting through some really emotional, like serious acting.
They get Angela Bassett to be Denise's mom this season, which is a good get for them.
Yeah, that episode was.
You know who's great acting?
Favorite.
Speaking of not formal training, Aziz Ansari's parents.
No, okay, so they're not good at acting. They're just like super charming by being themselves.
But it's good enough.
Yeah,
like in season 1.
Yeah,
Aziz's dad in particularly was great.
Yeah, his dad. The episode he's in this season. I mean, obviously he's not a great actor, but he just comes across so likable. It's
funny.
Yeah, it is funny. One of the things I think that stood out to me about this season was just how they use so many different types of like vehicles for storytelling. Like one episode pretty much takes place all in his friend Denise's house over a series of decades, and like it centers around Thanksgiving every year, and it's about how she comes out to her family, and it's super awesome. Just the way that they kind of show it and use that. So that's just one example. I don't want to spoil anything else for anybody in the season. The standout person to me, though, is Alessandra Mastronardi, who is Francesca, which you see her in episode 1.
Oh, the Italian girl?
Yeah, the Italian girl. She shows up a couple times throughout the season, and she's phenomenal. She really, I think, is like the perfect person to be alongside Aziz on this, which just funny that they were able to find this person who looks so much like the old-fashioned films, like women you would see in these old-fashioned films, and like bring her into like a more modern, updated thing while they kind of keep this like auteur going. It's kind of strange. Yeah, like, very good casting. So,
it's an exciting show.
Yeah, as you're thinking about the season, like I know that you've read about it and stuff, but like, what are you most excited for? Because I know you saw the first season, you really liked it. You haven't gotten through the season like I have.
I've just seen episode 1 of season 2.
What are you excited for?
Just because I know it's so experimental and it does so many different things, I just want to see what that actually entails, like how far they go with it. Listening to Aziz do some press about it, the attitude him and Alan Yang have about the show, it's that they don't want to just force it out. They certainly didn't want to make a cookie cutter replica of season 1.
Right.
They wanted to do something different, and even Alan Yang was saying now, it's like, we'll do season 3 if we want to do it. I mean, they clearly have not thought about it at all because they're just so focused on making season 2 worthwhile and so great. So I really want to see what that actually entails.
Yeah, there's and like I said, they definitely do a lot of things. I think that's exactly like the main thing to be excited for. Another thing I think you should be excited for is just how they play with like sound, because they really like use music and also just like the sounds of like the city or like lack thereof to like really get across a lot of points in the season. That I would say like keep your ear out for that if you're watching the season. Like they use that really well to create
episode 1 being black and white was an awesome touch too.
Yeah, definitely.
Just him in just one setting in this Italian city, and then I heard the penultimate episode is 57 minutes, a double episode basically, which has enhanced meaning because the rest of the season is all 30 minutes.
Right.
So when you actually do have that longer runtime, it really stands out.
Yeah.
As opposed to like other prestige shows where they regularly have 55-minute episodes all the time.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 57 minutes long, and I got like halfway through and I was like, this should be over by now.
Yeah.
And they're like, not even close to
the arc doesn't seem like it's progressed far enough. This is strange.
This episode seems off. But yeah, definitely we'll be checking back in maybe after you finish, just to get some like final thoughts from you, see if anything stood out.
Do you have a favorite episode of season 1?
Probably the Parents episode.
I mean, there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I think the Parents
Indians
episode,
on TV,
or when
really
he goes
good.
to Nashville, like the Nashville episode, just because like the way that they create like the feeling of Nashville through it is like really cool, and then like seeing her like Dev and Rachel interact in that way is nice.
The last episode, Two Mornings, really shows like the experimental side too, because it was so unlike the rest of the season.
Yeah, and they just keep it focused on like the mornings.
And how the relationship
like
crescendos basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they use a lot of really interesting like angles to like tell these stories, which I think is,
and it's really cool too, because this is the first show Aziz and Alan Yang have ever made. Alan Yang wrote for Parks. Aziz was previously just a on-screen talent, an actor, as well as a stand-up guy. So it's really cool to see how far people can go with their first. This shows how artistic these people are.
Yeah, Aziz I think said he doesn't want to come back till he's had way different life experiences. So
yeah, well, that's the thing Alan Yang said too. He was like, yeah, well, we needed enough time. It was like on the 18 months. Like, yeah, we needed enough time so that we didn't just go into season 2 having just done press for season 1.
Right.
Like
we had something to talk about.
So yeah, I would expect if they do a season 3, if they're up for it, it'd probably be more than the 18 months, because Aziz would probably consider doing a stand-up run or something, or he's written a book. He's done so much stuff, and
I could see them going for something. Like them working together on like something different, whether it's a different show or like an animated thing, like especially. I just think they I don't think we'll see Master of None for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Just because.
Well, I think imagine if Master of None does end after 2 acclaimed seasons. I mean,
they leave it at a pretty open ended. It's
just like season 1, really.
It's an ending, but like they don't give everything away. There's no like
closure
to it. We'll talk about it when it comes.